Most people think becoming a business owner means starting from zero, finding customers, hiring employees, burning through savings, and hoping everything eventually works. But every year, thousands of profitable businesses are sold with customers, employees, equipment, and cash flow already in place. The owner is ready to leave. The business still works. The only thing missing is the next owner. Over the next decade, millions of small business owners are expected to retire, creating one of the biggest ownership transfers in history. And before we start, no, this isn't another list of laundromats, car washes, vending machines, or storage units. Those businesses have been covered hundreds of times. I wanted to focus on the boring businesses almost nobody talks about, despite having some of the strongest economics. Because experienced buyers don't chase flashy ideas. They chase businesses with recurring customers, reliable profits, and systems that already work. And that's the lens we'll use throughout this video. Forget revenue, because revenue doesn't pay you. Cash flow does. So as we go through this list, don't ask yourself which business makes the most revenue. Ask yourself, which business would I still want to own 10 years from now? Because that's where the real money is made. Let's start with number 5. Business 5. Commercial cleaning. Commercial cleaning isn't really a cleaning business. It's a contract business disguised as one. Think about office buildings, medical clinics, warehouses, schools. If they stop getting cleaned, problems show up almost immediately. Health standards slip. Employees complain. Operations get disrupted. That's why many commercial cleaning companies operate on long-term recurring contracts. Customers don't decide every month whether they need the service. They already know they do. And that's what you're buying, not mops, not vacuum cleaners. You're buying recurring revenue and relationships that took years to build. Of course, there is one challenge: managing people. Reliable staff, scheduling multiple locations, and maintaining consistent quality are what separate great operators from average ones. But if the business already has experienced supervisors, established systems, and long-term contracts, growth becomes much easier. Every new customer simply plugs into a system that's already working. Verdict: a tier. Not because cleaning is exciting, because predictable contracts are. Business 4. Bookkeeping. Bookkeeping sounds painfully boring, which is exactly why it can be such a great business. Every business owner needs accurate financial records. But almost nobody enjoys doing them, and once they find a bookkeeper they trust, they rarely switch. Think about it. If someone has handled your finances correctly for years, knows your business, and keeps everything running smoothly, why risk changing providers just to save a little money? That's why bookkeeping firms often keep clients for years, sometimes even decades. The real product isn't spreadsheets, it's trust. And today, AI is making these businesses even stronger, not by replacing bookkeepers, but by helping them serve more clients with the same team. Higher efficiency, better margins, more profit. That's why buying an existing bookkeeping firm is so attractive. You're not starting with zero credibility. You're acquiring years of trust and long-term client relationships from day one. Verdict: a tier. Because the hardest thing to replace isn't software. It's trust. Business 3. Insurance agencies. How hard would it be to convince 100 businesses to buy insurance from you? Pretty hard. Now imagine buying an agency where those same 100 businesses have renewed their policies every year for the last decade. That's what you're really buying. Relationships, but there's something even more valuable underneath: trust. Most business owners don't spend their day thinking about insurance. They spend their day hoping they'll never need it, because the worst time to discover you weren't properly covered is after something goes wrong. A lawsuit, a fire, a flood, an employee injury. That's why clients rarely switch agencies just to save a little money. The risk feels bigger than the reward. And that's what makes insurance agencies so valuable. The real product isn't insurance. It's peace of mind. Once an agency earns that trust, Many clients stay for years, creating recurring renewal revenue that compounds over time. Of course, this isn't an easy business to enter. You need licenses, industry knowledge, compliance systems. But those same barriers protect established agencies from new competition. Buying an existing agency means acquiring years of customer trust from day one, and that's incredibly difficult to recreate. Verdict: a tier, because peace of mind is one of the hardest products to replace. Business 2. Septic and grease trap services. Nobody wants to think about grease traps. Nobody wants to think about septic tanks. And that's exactly what makes this business interesting. Take a restaurant owner. Cleaning a grease trap isn't optional. It has to get done. The same goes for septic systems. Ignore them long enough, and a small problem turns into an expensive disaster. That's why demand stays remarkably consistent. Customers aren't buying because they want to. They're buying because they have to. But demand isn't the biggest advantage. Competition is. Most people don't want this work. It's dirty. It's physically demanding, and it requires specialized trucks, environmental regulations, permits, disposal facilities, and years of operational experience. Those barriers keep many competitors away, which means established companies often operate in markets with far less competition than other service businesses, and that's why buying one is so attractive. You're not just purchasing trucks, you're buying established service routes, commercial clients, permits, and an operating system that took years to build. Verdict: S tier. Not because the work is glamorous, because the fewer people willing to do it, the less competition you're likely to face. Business 1. Fire inspection and life safety services. Every commercial building has systems nobody thinks about until they fail. Fire alarms, sprinkler systems, backflow prevention devices. Most people never notice them, but when they stop working, the consequences can be catastrophic, and that's exactly what makes this business so valuable. When a company hires a cleaning service, they're buying cleanliness. When they buy insurance, they're buying peace of mind. But when they hire a fire inspection company, they're buying confidence that everything will work when it absolutely has to. Because the cost of getting it wrong isn't inconvenience, it's disaster. That's why customers rarely shop for the cheapest provider. They want someone certified, someone experienced, someone they can trust without hesitation. And once a company earns that trust, those relationships often last for years. Now combine that with mandatory inspections, recurring service schedules, industry certifications, and strict regulations. You begin to understand why these businesses are so attractive. But here's the real opportunity. Starting a fire inspection company means spending years earning certifications, building a reputation, and convincing customers to trust you. Buying an established company gives you all of that on day one. Customer relationships, a proven track record, recurring contracts, and a reputation that took years to build. It perfectly combines everything we've talked about throughout this video. Recurring revenue, high switching costs, strong barriers to entry, and customers who simply can't afford to choose the wrong provider. Verdict: S tier. Because the best businesses aren't always the ones customers love. They're the ones customers can't afford to get wrong. Here's what surprised me most while researching these businesses. The best opportunities weren't the newest. They weren't the trendiest, and they definitely weren't the businesses getting millions of views on social media. They were the businesses quietly solving important problems, year after year, while everyone else chased the next big thing. Most people think entrepreneurship starts with a great idea. But many successful entrepreneurs start with something much less exciting. A business that already works, an existing customer base, and an owner who's ready to move on. So maybe the better question isn't, what business should I start? Maybe it's, what business is already working? That I can make even better? Because sometimes the fastest way to build a successful business isn't building one from scratch. It's buying years of work that someone else has already done. If you had the opportunity tomorrow, would you rather start a business or buy one? Let me know down in the comments. And if you enjoy learning about overlooked businesses that quietly create real wealth, subscribe. because the next business opportunity might be hiding in plain sight.